Good morning, everyone. Welcome to morning meeting. Today we are joined with Percy, our spotted turtle ambassador. As always, let me know where you guys are tuning in from today. If you guys have any questions, I would certainly love to answer them. I'm going to put him down and let him walk around and get some exercise, and we can talk about him. Right, bud? There you go. So Percy is a spotted turtle, of course, with all the little spots that he has on his scoots, all of his little puzzle pieces. So Percy came to us last spring after he had been kidnapped out of the wild as a little hatchling. Someone had kept him for a couple years, and then he was surrendered to us because these guys are threatened. It is illegal to have them as pets. Our spotted turtles are one of our 5 of our 7 that we have here in Maine that are threatened. So that's why Percy is with us, as he is about 5 years old now. So he is pretty much full grown. He'll grow, of course, a little bit. As they do, they constantly grow. So when they're born as little quarter-sized hatchlings, they do grow much, much faster. And as they get older, they do slow down. Where are you going? That's why Percy is with us. Hello, handsome. You go this way. These guys are generally pretty shy, even as ambassadors. So he is a little bit more reserved. He isn't as, hey, look at me, like maybe Clifford, if you guys know him, or Box Turtle. Percy, where you going? But like all of our reptiles, we do like to give them some exercise and get some sun. So that's part of what we're doing today. That they do need that sunlight naturally to keep their shell nice and healthy. But of course, just like us, they do need exercise. Good morning, Teresa. Yeah, of course, let me know if you're tuning in with us so we can say good morning to everyone. Right, Percy? I think, see on his little scoots, all his spots. So when they are little hatchlings, they actually only have 1 spot per scoot. So a scoot is what we call all those little puzzle pieces, each individual part of his shell. And they're actually made of the same stuff our hair and our fingernails are made of. And so he can feel all of this right now, just like us rubbing our fingernails. Get some bubbles on you. So he will gain spots as he gets older, but they are really cute little hatchlings when they're born. We have one or two, I believe, right now in our clinic that hatch, so we're really excited. Trisha, so the Center for Wildlife is a wildlife hospital in Cape Nettic, Maine. So that's kind of near York, Maine, in southern seacoast area. Good morning, Jessica. I live in Chicago. Welcome. Yes. So most of our turtles here in Maine are threatened, with the exception of our peanut turtles and our snapping turtles. So those are the only 2 that are currently okay right now in the wild. But even those peanut turtles that we see a lot during the summertime, like basking on logs in the middle of ponds, in the mid-Atlantic, they're actually being outcompeted, and their populations are starting to be threatened by those red-eared sliders that you can buy in the pet store, those pet store turtles, because they live in the same habitat, they eat the same food, and they get much bigger than the painted. So right now, most of our species here in Maine are threatened on some level, and so that would be our spotteds, blandings, musk, wood. Who am I forgetting? Spotted, blanding, musk, painted, not, snapper's not. I'm drawing a blank. Can't remember who we're missing there. But yeah, most of them aren't doing well. a lot of that does have to do with their habitats. And so Percy in particular, he's gonna really like a vernal pool area. So that is in itself a threatened habitat. They're those areas that fill in during the spring and the fall and then dry up during the summertime. So they are isolated bodies of water, which makes them unique because that means fish and other predators can't survive in them. So our spotted turtles will lay their eggs and hang out around there, as well as a lot of our amphibians and salamanders, some invertebrates like fairy shrimp. So that is a very specific habitat that they would prefer. Our spotted turtles in particular are actually one of the first ones to breed around there. So they're going to be laying their eggs pretty much as soon as the snowmelt is gone. So Percy is actually a little bit harder to see at the center in his enclosure when he's outside, because the summertime is pretty warm for them. They'll go actually underground during the summertime, and then so really you're going to see them more in the earlier in the spring or maybe the fall when they're moving. But summertime gets pretty warm for him, so he actually will bury himself in his outdoor enclosure during the summertime. Because he would normally be underground because he is a first emerger in the springtime. Good morning, Jessica. Yeah, he has cute little spots on his head. Amity, he is a turtle. So the local differences, we don't have any tortoises here in Maine. We do have land turtles, which are our box turtles, but the biggest difference is genetics. So even though a box turtle we call them a turtle, even though they cannot swim. So they'll wade into water, but they can't swim like our aquatic turtles can. So you can tell Percy's an aquatic turtle because he has this really flat shell. If he lets me show you, he has really cute little web feet too. Oh, that's not what you guys want to see. There you go. Can I show you your little web feet? That's a tiny little web feet. That flat shell to help him be hydrodynamic so he can swim super fast and get away from predators. But no, we don't have any tortoises here in Maine, however. Good morning, Naomi from Rhode Island. Say hello, Percy. I got stuff to do and places to go. Bye, Percy. Where you going? Oh, Percy. You're so handsome, though. Come here. And you can also tell that Percy is a boy because of other parts of his body. So he has these really long claws. And then long tail, which is pretty typical of our aquatic turtles. So the females generally have much shorter front nails. Because our boys will actually hold the female's face during mating season. That's one of the ways you can tell male-female generally in most aquatic turtle species. Good morning, Danielle from San Diego. When kiddos can't sleep, this is a much needed treat for them. Aw, thank you. Come here. We can't go that way. I know. Like, I got stuff to do, human. Places to be, things to do. Good morning, Andy. Say hello, Percy. So his full name is Perseus. That is because the spots on his shell are actually, we call them constellations, just like our stars. Perseus is one of our constellations, and so that's how he got his name. For those of you that are local here to Maine and know of Maine Beer Company up in Freeport, this is the Percy that the Prince Percy Pilsner is named after. Maine Beer Company is one of our lovely partners. We are one of their 1% for the planet beneficiaries. So we do a lot of work with them and go up and bring our ambassadors and do tables and stuff with them. So this is who that beer is named after, this handsome little man. Oh, thank you, Danielle. That was really sweet. Thank you. Definitely the best job in the world for sure. Getting to take care of our ambassador friends and bringing them to schools and libraries and nursing homes, and we're not in a pandemic, of course. We do programming basically every single day of the year between myself and Katie. So it really is the best job ever. Getting to have such awesome coworkers. Right, Percy? You're pretty cool. Good morning, Trisha and Beth. Say hi, Percy. Where are you going? Like all this tall grass. So one of my favorite enrichment activities to do with our reptiles is, unfortunately, I did just mow last week, as you can tell from the grass, but before I do mow, I'll a lot of times take one of our reptiles out. A lot of times our snakes, just because our turtles tend to do more programming, there's a lot more of them. So before I mow, I'll let them hang out and go in between all the really tall grass, and they really, really enjoy it. But Percy is a bit smaller, so this even still seems a bit big for him. So it works out. Our reptiles respond really well to environmental enrichment. So when we do their cleans, or on Fridays when it's enrichment day for everyone, a lot of times we'll just give our reptiles new plants and maybe a new food item. Percy, however, he is on a diet because he was overweight when he came to us. So he doesn't get as much protein as some of our other turtles, even though our spotteds do normally eat more protein in the wild. So he does get a bunch of options about once a week. So he'll wear Blossom, Lotus, our box turtles. They may get some mealworms, a piece of fish. As their protein, the box turtles do get a bit more variety, like some worms and mice and crickets. Percy, we can't go on the really tall grass. I'll lose you, and then we'd all be really sad. Let's go this way. But Percy does get some shrimp, these little shrimp pellets that we can get, plankton. It's a great sunlight for you, handsome. So a lot more things. And Percy's actually a bit of a picky eater, so we actually have to douse his veggies and his maintenance pellets in fish juice, because otherwise he's like, I don't think that's food, and he won't eat them. Right, Percy? You're a picky eater. Good morning, Priscilla. Say hello, handsome. Percy, where are you going? Yeah, since he's very, very tiny. They are just a smaller species, so he's only about the size of my palm or so. But he is pretty much fully grown. He'll get a little bit bigger, but not by much. You're just a small turtle. Yeah, you climb. So this is great exercise for him as well. Because of his weight, we do want to make sure that he is getting healthy again. So it's why we put him on a diet, and why our reptiles do especially give these walks, to make sure that they're moving around. And when he's inside his indoor enclosure, he does spend most of his time in the water. But right now, during the day, he does spend most of his time underground. He doesn't move very much, because he's a reptile. He doesn't need as much food and energy as we do. He can't keep himself warm like we can, so he gets his temperature from the environment. So he will just kind of hang out and rest when he doesn't feel like the temperature is a right thing for him. You're so handsome. Bye. Oh, Percy. What do you think? Get some exercise. Come here. Bye, Percy. You're so handsome. Percy, you want to go show everyone the vernal pool? Yeah. We'll go for a walk. So we're gonna walk down. So we actually have some vernal pools on site. We have a little string of them here at the center. And so during the springtime, we do have vernal pool programs. Well, when we're not in a pandemic, we can go collect things and see what they are. You guys might have saw earlier in the spring, we did one of these morning meetings explaining some of the stuff we were finding. You never know what you're going to find. So a lot of amphibian eggs, invertebrates, stuff like that. So we do like to bring Percy down. Unfortunately, we cannot just let him swim in the water, because we would never find you, and then we'd be really sad. But we do like to bring him down and just let him explore in the woods down here. So I'll turn the camera so you guys can see. So we just walk down from our pavilion area right there. So right here is one of our vernal pools that are currently dried up because they dry up in the summer. Some vernal pools do fill up in the fall as well. And actually different species will breed in the vernal pools in the fall. Depends on one of them being, we don't have them here, but marbled salamanders will actually lay their eggs in these dried up vernal pools in the summer, and then they'll hatch later in the fall once there's water in them again. But a lot of our pools do stay dry until a little bit in the winter when we start to have some snow melt again. So these are primarily spring vernal pool breeders that are going to be hanging out in here. So it is currently dried, this little depression. We have quite a string of them going up to the road. So over here is another one. Right, Percy? Like I mentioned earlier, these are threatened habitats. So decide how threatened that habitat is depending on what kind of animals are going to be found in them. So we do still call these vernal pools, but they are not as oh, hi, little red squirrel. They're not as vital as other vernal pools. So we would tell that because of the species that are in them. So if we had fairy shrimp, which are endemic to vernal pools, which means that they can only be found in vernal pools. So that would be classified as a more important vernal pool, essentially, if it had those fairy shrimp, and then some other species, some different species of salamanders and stuff like that. We do have animals that do breed in our vernal pools, like frogs and, just mostly frogs that we see in here. And then we will pull up some, water striders and different invertebrates. But they're still vernal pools, just not as important as vernal pools. And you can see right through there, might be able to hear the beeping. So over there, through the sunlight, is our new facility. And we're really, really excited. We still have some money left to finish raising so that we can be fully moved over there. Right now, they're actually grading the dirt driveway to help us prepare for our open house next Sunday, sorry. So we're starting to prep all of that and get that ready, so we're really excited. That's what you can hear over there is you might be able to hear the beeping of the tractors and stuff. That's where our new building is. Good morning, Charles. I see turtles on the road to my home very regularly. Is it true we should just get them off the road in the direction they're walking? Yes. So that's exactly what we should do. So turtles actually lay their eggs in the same place that their mom was born, their grandma was born, their great-great-grandma, and we call them ancestral breeding grounds, which means that their GPS in their head is much better than our phones. So they will go back to that same place year after year in the same place that the generations before them were also born. So you never want to move a turtle in the opposite direction of it's moving, just because they're still going to try to cross the road. If they're trying to cross, they're trying to get to that location that they were born and their family has been born. Or they're returning from that location. So you always want to move them in the way that they're going. If it's a small turtle like Percy, of course you never want to touch a wild animal without an adult's permission. But if it's a small turtle like this, you can hold him just between the back legs. You do want to be careful though, because they do have claws. If it is a larger turtle that you can still lift with your hand, you can use both hands in between the two legs to carry them. But if it is a big snapping turtle, you definitely want to be very, very careful in particular, because they can move their necks a lot farther than our other turtles can. So when we have a snapping turtle we're trying to cross, I will very honestly tip them up if I can, and then hold them with the two hands. Or if it's a really big snapping turtle, I will try to convince them to go onto a towel or a car mat, and then drag the car mat or the towel across the road. You just never want to drag the turtle by the tail, or just drag the turtle across the road. Snappers in particular don't have very much shell on this bottom. They're mostly exposed, and so they can actually get really sick from road rash and stuff like that. And you also want to make sure that you're moving a turtle in the same direction that you do. So when I tip Percy like this, I want to put him directly back in that direction. Or if I flip him over like this, I want to move him slowly, exactly the way he just came from. That's because under all these scoots, it is just bone. And so all of his organs and stuff are just in that shell. So you don't want them to get tangled or anything like that. So you definitely want to be careful when you're lifting a turtle, and make sure you move it in the same direction that you already moved it in. Right, Percy? And then always in the direction that they are going. So you, of course, want to make sure that your safety is the most important. So definitely want to watch out for cars, and you don't, just make sure that you're safe before you help the turtle cross. But definitely in the way that they're moving, however. Right? Because sometimes like putting it near water is kind of like me just plopping you a couple states away. You don't know where you are. You don't know if it's where to find food. You don't know where to live. Yeah, there's a habitat near there, but it's not your habitat. It's not where you're from. So you never want to move them out of the area they're coming from. When we get turtles into our clinic as hospital patients, we actually have to know exactly what they came from. So we have to put them exactly where they came from when we release them, because turtles don't move very far. Like our box turtles, for example, they've done several radio tracking studies on them. And they found that they spend most of their life in the area about the size of a football field. So they will go maybe a mile or so outside of that for breeding and other ring things. But other than that, they're going to spend most of their life in a tiny little area. So we never want to move them out of their current habitat, just because they don't move very far. And remember that GPS in their head is better than our phone. So they're going to try to go back to that location that they came from, no matter where you put them. And a lot of times that means that they are going to get hit by cars in the process, or they're just not going to make it because there isn't enough food and habitat for them along the way. Good morning, Chuck and Charles. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Yes, always want to remind everyone. And then especially right now, a lot of our turtle hatchlings are emerging, all of our little quarter-size, tiny little hatchlings. There is no such thing as an orphan turtle. Turtles never meet mom and dad, ever. Mom will lay her eggs, and then she will leave. So she will never see her little babies. They're born with all the information that they need, however, so they're totally fine. That's why mom has a lot of young, because most of them are not going to make it to adulthood. And so mom will have lots of babies, because mom has one or two that survives to adulthood and to reproductive age. She's doing pretty good. So most of them will not make it. But they belong in the wild. So that's why, again, Percy is with us. He was kidnapped as a little quarter-sized hatchling. Someone found him, thought he was cute. Of course, it is illegal here in Maine, in most states, because they are threatened in most of their range. Where you going? Right? Right now, a lot of little hatchlings are emerging, however, but they will emerge in their own time, so it just depends. And they actually, when mom lays her eggs, so our turtles have temperature-dependent sex determination, which means that when mom lays her eggs, the ones that are on the top of the pile that are warmer are going to be girls, and the ones on the bottom that are cooler are going to be boys. So when we get moms that unfortunately do pass away, we will actually extract mom's eggs and incubate them, because they never meet mom, so they're fine. And then we will release those hatchlings exactly where mom was found, to give them the best chance of survival. And we'll actually raise all of the turtles we get to be females. Like I said, a lot of our turtles here are not doing well. So we will raise them all to be girls, just have the temperature a little bit warmer, which is pretty cool. Right, bud? Oh, cool, Chuck. Yeah, Maine Wildlife Group, someone posted about snapping turtle hatchlings. They are definitely emerging right now. Some species will emerge, some will, the hatchlings will stay underground through the winter and then emerge next spring. But some of them are definitely emerging right now. It's that time of year, so definitely want to be careful about them. You're on the move, little man. They are tiny and very cute looking, but they're fully on their own. They're totally okay. They know exactly what they need to do to survive. Bye, Percy. So if you guys have any last questions, I can certainly answer them. But otherwise, we are going to go bring Percy to his outdoor enclosure for the day, so he can hang out and more likely just bury himself for the day. But we're going to walk up with him and put him in his enclosure so everyone else can get fed this morning. As always, let me know if you guys have any last questions. I can certainly answer them. But we're going to walk up and put him back, and yeah. Right? Oh, captured and taken to ponds. So it happens every year, Chuck. And it's not out of any malicious intent, usually. It's people genuinely wanting to just help them. So I get people just want to help the turtle get to the water, but that may not be the water that they want to get to. So of course you can certainly help them cross the road, especially if it's a little turtle, but you do want to be careful. You don't want to put yourself in danger, but you always want to move them in the way that they are going and not transplant them to another habitat. Good morning, Teresa. Oh, thank you. Right, Percy? So if you guys have any last questions, I can certainly answer them, but otherwise I'm going to put Mr. Percy back for today. So we are at his outdoor enclosure, so you can see he has a little bucket that he has water in that he can swim around in. He spends most of his day right under his little hide, buried underground. He has some hostas and plants. So he's right next to our box turtle enclosure. You guys all bury for the day? They're somewhere in there. And then our two painted turtles, Blossom and Lotus, are over here as well. And then we have Henry and Skeeter, and Ophelia and Artemis, of course. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Say bye, Percy. Have a great day.